Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. And if you have been here before, thank you for coming back. I'm glad that all of you are here today. So we are going to play with some embossing folders, well, an embossing folder, and some stenciling. I'm making a card for a friend, and I've not used this set yet, and I'm excited to try it. I've not done the stenciling on top of an embossed image before, so this is going to be fun. If you haven't done this before, it'll be new for both of us. If you have done it before, maybe you can give me some tips below if you see something that maybe I can do a little differently. I don't know, let's see how this goes. So I have, this is Altenew. Most of this is Altenew. I am using some Stampin' Up! Inks and some blending brushes from Amazon. The other blending brushes are Altenew. I really like their products. They make good quality products. So this is the Altenew Vintage Lace 3D embossing folder. I don't know if you can see the image on there. I know it's kind of glary, but it's got a pretty flower and it looks like almost like a honeycomb pattern on the background. And then there's 3 stencils that go with it. And it makes a flower that looks like this. So in keeping with what they did, I'm going to try it with the purples and see what we can make of it. So let's get started. I guess the first thing we need to do is to emboss the piece of paper. Let me push all this out of the way. Get the big shot down here. Oops, sorry about that. That was a little loud. So we're gonna put our paper in here. And I've heard it's a good idea to mist the backside of your paper a little bit to prevent it from cracking. So we'll just spritz that really quickly. And then we'll seat it into the embossing folder. I kind of want to make sure it's centered. Okay. So now that we have this in here, we'll go ahead and run this through the embossing folder. And I don't know the exact sandwich for the Altenew ones, but I do know that if I put it using the first tab and then the embossing folder and the gray plate and then a makeshift shim that I have here, I know that this will go through the machine okay. And I run it back through again just for good measure. And we'll see if we got a decent impression. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So now we're going to use our stamp wheel. We aren't going to use this piece again because this is for stamping. So we're just going to use this because of the sticky mat in it. Now I have these little guides that you can put into your stamp positioning tool, and then that will help you with lining up things. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cardstock down against the edges. Just like that. And then we're going to take this out. And now I should be able to line up my stencil in here. And see, it should really probably be over this way a little further, so this is a little bit wide. So you know what, we're just gonna cheat. We're just gonna go ahead and move this over to where we need it to be, because I really need the stencil to be able to be grasped down by that mat. I mean, I could tape it down, I guess. Just line it up this way. And the stencil does have, it has numbers on it, but it also has guides on some of these so that you can line it up on the flower. So hopefully this will be pretty easy. There also is a direction thing, so maybe I should look at that. It'd probably be helpful. So they say first you're supposed to do the stems. Okay, for the purpose of not getting my head in your camera view, I'm gonna line this up the best I can. And we're gonna have to tape this stencil down just to keep it into place while I ink blend. Okay, and so it's the first shade of green. All right, and I got some paper towels so that I can clean off my brushes a little bit in between inks. You know what, it might actually be better if I use the bigger one on this because I notice the brushes are going in between the stencil and I don't want it to go down under. So we might be better off to just use the bigger brush where I'm not risking pushing it down underneath the stencil. It's just gliding over top instead. So that's the first one. All right, so let's pull this one off. Yeah, see, I got underneath it down here a little bit. So it's not perfect, but I think it'll be okay. And then the next layer of this is these flowers. It's really hard to get them lined up without being directly over top of it, but I don't want to get into your camera view. And I got to be careful on this one. There's a little nub thing sticking up here, little petal that we got to be aware of. Okay. And these ones are purple. It's like the lightest shade of purple, which would be this one. So we're gonna use fresh Freesia for this one. And it looks like they did, it's lighter over here and it's darker on this side. And then lighter going out to dark. So let's just lightly start to go over them. That's really pretty. I love how the detail from the 3D embossing folder, that when the brush hits it, it's a little darker over those areas. It gives it some dimension. And that's super pretty. And this is where we got to be careful up here because of this piece that's hanging over. So I'm just gonna do it in the direction that that little piece is so that I don't flip that back by accident. And I think that there was still some leftover ink on my blending brush because my flowers are a couple of different colors here. That's okay. It's just extra pretty that way. Okay, so I think we'll go with that. And then the next layer is stencil number 2. Oh no, we're still on this stencil, okay. So now we have to line up these pieces. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, well that's pretty pretty. I'm a little bit off on my stencil, but you know what, for the first time, I like it. I'm really, really happy with it. Okay, so stencil number 2, which is this one, they've got little numbers on them. So we line this one up. Oh, you know what stencil, that last stencil, I didn't do the little yellow piece. So let me grab that again. Oh, and look, I just smeared ink. Okay, so now we'll move on to this one as soon as that is dry. Okay, so now we're going to do stencil number 2. Let me clean up the yellow ink pad. Stencil number 2, they're all marked up here. And then I don't know if you can see on here that there's little lines, that's like the outline of the flowers to help you line them up. So stencil number 2, the first part of it. So if we get it lined up this way. It's still a little tricky to get lined up right. Okay, so this is lined up now and taped down. So we're going to use some of the lighter shade again. And actually, I should probably clean some of the darker off of this. Okay. So that just made those areas a little darker than what they were before. Okay, and then the next step is the other part of this stencil, which is down here. So this one gets lined up this way. All right, and then we'll take this part down. And this one is using the darker shades, but you know what we're gonna do? Yeah, let's just do that. Okay, so the next step is to use the darker shade and to go over these areas. I think we're just layering over the same areas that we have already stenciled at one point, just to give them different values. All right, and that's stencil number 2. That's turning out really pretty. I'm really happy with this. And then stencil number 3, oops, here it is. Stencil number 3. So we do the flowers first. So we line this back up again here. Now this one shows that we use even a darker shade. So I think we'll do this one. Oh, and I need to watch that I don't get over here on my paper like I almost just did. It's one thing you gotta be careful that you don't go off the stencil and get onto your paper. That's a super dark purple. My ink pad is really juicy too. Okay. So let me wipe the ink off of this one because we have to use this side. Now, one thing to know is anytime you're using inks, especially reds or purples, there is red in purple, you may end up with staining on some of your tools, like your stencils, or if you get ink on your sticky mat. The staining doesn't hurt anything. As long as you make sure that you wash off your stencil and everything really well, the staining won't come off on other projects. Okay, so the next part is the rest of the leaves and the stems. And we'll tape this into place. I'm just gonna put a piece of tape over these so that I don't accidentally get confused and stencil over those. Okay, so it shows going lighter to dark using the darkest. So I think we'll go ahead and do this one. And actually, I think we'll start with the light one. Do the light ones first. So I'm just going to lightly put the lighter color on here, and then we'll go back in and add some with the dark. I'm not looking for this to be perfectly smoothly coated because leaves aren't perfectly just one solid color of green. I think that'll work. I just want a little bit of the dark green at the base of these leaves where they attach to the stems. All right, I think with that, we're going to be able to call it done. All right, that's our panel. I did get a little bit of purple out here. I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to be fine. I think it turned out really pretty. Okay, so let me get this cleaned up and we'll come back and we'll make the rest of this card. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this card together. Because this is embossed, I'm not going to do anything further with this. I will trim it down to fit on the card. I had thought about putting a stitched border around this, but then I decided that it would probably just get flattened out if I ran it back through the embossing machine again. And then also I thought that the stitching might take away from this panel itself. So I'm going to do the stitched on the background piece for this. So let's go ahead and get that part done. So I know that the biggest die in here will cut out a full panel for an A2 size card. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And actually I'm going to trim this piece down so that I can get it through the machine. So I'm going to put this through the machine at an angle. You never want to put a flat edge straight on through the machine because you'll damage your rollers or you'll wear them out faster. So you always want to put it at a slight angle. That way it's only taking on part of the die at a time. And it goes through the machine a lot smoother. You don't have a bunch of cracking and loud popping noises. You know, I need to clean my plates. So I know that there's been videos done on this, and I don't remember who did the videos about you can boil water or something and put your plates in them, and then it'll lift all of the papers and stuff that are embedded in these. If anybody knows anything about how to do that process so that you can clean up your plates a little bit and straighten them out a little bit, leave me a comment on that, because I'd really like to do that with this one. It's getting pretty grungy looking, but it still cuts well enough that I don't want to replace it. I just like to clean it up a little bit so that it doesn't look as awful as it does. So if you know anything about that, please let me know. My die cut machine gets a ton of use. Those are still the original plates. I've been using that machine now for, I want to say maybe 3 years. And those are still my original plates. I've not replaced them yet. But I would like to clean them up a little bit if I can. So, okay, so for this layer, because this one is going to, let me score this. This one, where is it? There's the bone folder. Okay. So score this so we can see what we're working with. Okay, so this piece is the size of an A2 card front. And I want some of that border showing. So I am going to just trim some off of this. So let me see. I think the next size down fits right inside there. So this one is almost 4 inches across. By 5, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this panel down so that it'll sit inside of this. That's perfect. All right, now it's time to adhere these pieces together. So I used Barely Arts glue. I sometimes switch between this and the art glitter glue. I don't notice a real big difference between the two. I know the art glitter glue tends to be a little bit more runny than what this is, but I like both of them. I don't really have a preference between the two. So we'll go ahead and get these adhered down, and this is just what I happen to be using for today. Yeah, the preference is really yours as to what white glue you use. And actually, after I deplete my supply of the art glitter glue and the Barely Arts glue, I'm going to switch to Elmer's clear glue and see how that does with holding things together. I mean, you can get it in great big bottles for half the cost of what a little bottle like this is. And if it seems to hold up okay, I'm gonna test it for quite a while before I totally switch over to it. But if it works, then why not? I don't know why you have to have a fancy white glue. Okay. And we'll go ahead and put this panel down. I'm a little concerned about this one staying together because of all the dimension on this. Okay, and that's super pretty. Okay, for this next part, I am going to ink blend over one of the hellos, and then I'm going to stack all 3 of these. I just think that will be pretty to do that. Get a piece of scrap paper here. I've previously ink blended on this one. I sometimes save little scrap pieces and get full use out of both sides of them. I know, sounds silly, but why waste good paper if you don't have to? And I wonder if it would be better if I just pressed this down into the ink this way. That's kind of cool. Okay, I can live with that. And you know what, could this be a happy accident and maybe can be used on something else? Okay, I'm gonna come back to this. This will get used on something. Okay, so now I'm gonna do this part off camera because I have to be directly over top of it to get these lined up okay. But I'll do that and then I'll be right back. Second thought, changed my mind about that. I am gonna do this on camera just in case there are some of you watching that have never stacked sentiments before. So let's show you how you can do this. So let's put some glue out here. It's really hard to get a lot of glue out of the fine little nozzle. So basically you just want to get some glue on the first layer and then take your second layer and put over it, lining them up as best that you can. It's sometimes hard to get them exactly perfect, so give yourself some grace. Okay, so that's the first layer. And then we will put some glue out here. And this is just a simple ink blending sponge dauber that I've dedicated to just glue. And I do rinse this out after every time that I use it. So we'll put glue on the second layer. And then put our purple layer down. And now you have a stacked sentiment that has a little bit of dimension to it. And this one is a little bit off over here. There. It's not 100% perfect, but it's good enough for me. What I might even do, okay, so just on the card itself, it's going to look like this. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it be. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up. All right, now we're gonna adhere the sentiment onto the front of the card. I could have done this with that dauber like I did the other ones, but I wanted a little bit thicker glue on here just because this is a heavier piece than they are individually. And because our background is textured. So I wanted just a little bit more glue on here to secure it down. I'll take and put this down here. And then to finish it off, well, let's put our little pin back in our glue so it doesn't get dried out. Okay, so now that we've got this much of it done, I'm thinking about adding some little gemstones to it. I know the rule of 3 that you should have, 2 and then 1, but I never really know where to put them at. I normally, pick a corner, like I might do 2 up here and 1 down here, but I've got hello down here. And I don't really want to put anything else down here. So is it okay to do like 1 here and 1 here and 1 over here? Is that too much? Should I put them in the corner? See, I just don't really know. How do you do it? Do you have a method that you refer to? Like for, I have a flower in the middle, so I'm going to put them here, I'm going to put them there. How do you determine where to put them at? I always struggle with this part, and I love the way that they look on other people's cards, but anytime I do it, I always think they don't look right. So I know my friend that I'm making this for, I know she likes purple and she likes flowers and she likes bling. So I think I'm just going to randomly put some on here. I don't think she's going to come back and say, hey, you know what? You put your gemstones in the wrong place. I don't think she'll do that. She might keep that thought to herself, which is perfectly fine in my book. So yeah, gosh. And I hesitate because I always worry that I'm going to mess it up if I put them in the wrong place. But I really just kind of want to put like one in here and maybe one here and one over here. So it kind of makes a triangle. And I don't know if that's going to look stupid, but you know what? We're going to go for it. So let's do one there. Let's do one out here. And I can already hear you screaming at home, no, no, not there, not there. And we're going to do one there. So let's start with that. Oh, now, do we do light or dark? Oh, goodness. Decisions. Let's do, oh, I don't know. Let's do, how about the dark ones? Maybe they'll blend in with the flowers. So if we do one there, one there, and one there. Okay, does it look stupid? I mean, yeah, it doesn't look right to me. But you know what? We're gonna leave it go. We're just gonna go with it. And this one is for my friend Arlene. So Arlene, if you are watching, let me know, would you have put those someplace else? I'd really like to know where you all would have put them at, because yeah, I guess it's okay. I mean, I do like the card. I really do like the card. I love the flowers. I love how it turned out. But those little gems, I just struggle with the little gems. I love them. I have a whole pouch of them. I love them, but boy, do I struggle to use them. So, okay. Well, anyway, so this is our card for the day. Arlene, I hope you like it. And this will be in the mail to you soon. And so thank you for hanging out with me today and watching me take this one on. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're interested in any of the products that are used for this, super, super easy to create. That's a fabulous embossing folder, just amazing. But I will link all of the stuff for this down below. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope you'll come back for the next one. Bye.